Race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Gutterworks, always well hung, just like Justin Barstow. Josh and Kayla, great moto people, and they will do exterior modifications to your house and make it look fucking just beautiful.
Librettos?
Yep.
Good people.
Great people. Got like 400 kids. I'm not even sure she can keep track of all of them at any one time, but they all ride, which is awesome.
That's why you're trying to get that TRT so you can pump about 7 or 8 of them into Ashley, isn't it?
I can't afford that. Josh makes a shit ton of money, apparently. Yeah, I don't make anywhere close to that. So, anyway, all right, so 450 race recap here. Okay. So, we're going to fire right off here. And this is going to be great because I haven't had you on the show for a while here, so I don't have... we talk a little bit, but mostly we're talking business when we're talking.
Yeah, we're business guys.
So I don't have a whole lot of insight on what your thoughts are here. Okay, so Jet goes 1-1 again at a track that he, says should not be on the schedule, so he clearly doesn't like it.
Me too.
He has not gone 1-1 there, period, end of discussion, in the 250 days. This was one of the tracks that I thought was going to be a big hurdle. There were two. Yeah. There's two on the schedule. This one and Unadilla.
Oh.
And I'm still thinking the Unadilla one's going to break the streak, but we'll see.
Wow.
But, dude, he still made it look easy. Did you watch the qualifying show?
I tried to.
Dude.
Fucking Peacock got me.
Q2 there, was he like 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that for like Q1? And they're like, I don't know how close he'll get to the top or whatever. As soon as Stu says that, which is like it's like the curse, boom, he goes like 14.5 or something, and he's like a couple tenths off. Comes around the next lap, boom, 2:14.1.
He's so good.
In the second qualifying session. Yeah. And it was just like, it was unbelievable, man.
It was a kind of wild track. We're going to get into this as the show goes on. But just the dirt alone is so wild because it's kind of like California where it's clay. It's a slick base, but it's also loamy. So once you get through the loam and it gets slick, you'll be traction then spin. Well, when you're in the shadows and stuff, the track dries out differently. Like the first corner, for example, like it was all dusty. It's dusty on top and then slick on the base. So you're coming into that, and you got to be real careful about that. So that's one of the biggest challenges for Washougal is you get a guy like Jet, and he could be hauling ass and then slides out, and there goes the season. Just
like Hunter did yesterday, which we'll get to in the 250 class. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think Jet gets beat this year?
No.
You think
Chase is really good, though. Chase is really good, and Dylan Ferrandis is really good at Unadilla.
Kenny's going to be at Unadilla, too.
Oh, that's great.
And Kenny's a fucking monster at Unadilla.
That's great.
So, as everybody knows, I'm a huge Jet homer. I've been preaching perfect season since the beginning here. However, knowing that Kenny's coming to Unadilla, and Kenny is a monster there.
Pretty tough.
I mean, dude, Kenny gave him fits at High Point.
Yeah.
And that was basically, I mean, you can say off the couch, who really knows? Right. He didn't have a lot of prep, let's put it that way. So now he's had some more time. He knows he's coming to Dilla and Buds. Buds, I don't think he touches Jet. I think Buds, it looks a lot like High Point, where even if he gets a start and he's leading Jet for a while there, boom, he's off. And Jet gets it. But the Unadilla one makes me nervous because Jet, I don't know if you remember last year, he was not good at Unadilla. It didn't go well for him at all. Now, maybe the 450 straightens that out because, again, he hasn't been great at Washougal.
He's so good.
But, dude, it is wild how good he is.
All right, so we're talking about Jet, but I want to really preface this right now. Normally, Unadilla, you got two things that happen. You got rookies coming up from Loretta's, which doesn't really affect 450s.
Nope.
But then you got a lot of Euros that come over, like Clement de Sal and all those guys come over a lot of times for Unadilla, and it suits them well.
I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Okay.
Anybody coming that hasn't been here yet. I haven't heard anything. And I don't think Hurlings is healthy enough to ride yet.
I wish he was.
I do too. But, so I'm still 85%, 90% that we're going to get this perfect season. Let's put it this way. If he makes it through Dilla and he goes 1-1, he perfect seasons it.
I'm a little bit of a gambling man. Are you going to put something on Jet? 24? Is it still 24?
No, it's 22. We only got 11.
If
I
you had $20 in your hand, are you putting it on Jet going 22-0?
Man, dude, I mean,
you're almost there.
I know the big wild card is that Kenny's gonna show up to race.
Yeah.
And dude, Kenny's so fucking good at Unadilla. Yeah. Kenny can go all year and not do shit and then he gets to Unadilla and wins by 35 seconds. Like, it's just wild. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm like 85, 90% still that we're going to go perfect season. Because he's just... Now, he did show a bit that he was human yesterday because he didn't lead every lap.
Yeah,
he
first time.
did follow for a couple of laps there before he zapped
the first
people.
lap, I think it was Ferrandis' first lap, right?
He followed just long enough to fuck up my first to the finish line fantasy shit so that I couldn't get those points. But yeah, that's...
I never have been a fantasy guy. Maybe I should be on this show, but I'm a little bit of a riverboat gambler. And, we might have to put some wagers on this one.
I don't know why you don't play fantasy then, because you could join Industry Idiots for $100 to try to win some money.
Because
it's essentially gambling.
I don't know. It's just different.
So, now on another side note here, this has been brought up this week, and I thought this was interesting. So it's obviously as good as he is here, and the perfect season talk. The only other people the perfect season are Ricky and James. And everybody's like, oh, it's not the same. He's not going to go 24. It's only 22. All the shit like that. Which
Man.
James started prefacing this at like Thunder Valley of like, well, even if he does, it's only 22. You know,
that part of it's
which is like,
but.
yeah, which whatever. Perfect season's perfect season. However, it is important to note that like James and Ricky were like 23, 24 when they had theirs.
I remember
which
both
is like
of those happening, and they were crazy.
Which is way older than Jet is.
Yeah, that's true.
He's 19.
He might really go and be competing for Carmichaels records. It's a real chance.
I'm here to tell you, dude. McGrath was on Pulp last week, and he's like, look, we haven't seen him ride Supercross yet. He goes, but you got to think he's 19. If he goes in and wins 6 or 7 at least the first year, he's like, I could be looking at the backside of second place for all-time wins here.
Yeah.
At Supercross, So
I haven't watched Pulp in a long time, but
I listen to it every week because there's lots of good info in there. There's lots of good little tidbits they throw in, and that's why I listen to it, because I like to have that insider information.
I'm a little out of the loop on that stuff.
And they will make different comments that like you would think are harmless, but then I start connecting dots with things I know, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay. So anyway, all right, cool. So let's go.
The reason I haven't listened to it and don't watch that is because I don't like when people just talk shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve's a pretty good dude, but one time he really let it fly about Kyle Regal, and we aren't best buds, but he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
We rode a lot, like that kind of stuff, and fuck that. I
Steve,
don't play that.
One thing I will say is Steve is very much not scared to say what's on his mind about things. So
I'm a respect guy, though, and I'll tell you some shit, but I'm going to be respectful about it, and like. That's my guy. I'll kick your fucking ass.
He also, I believe, is like all of us, is he will get with his buddies on that show, and he will get going on something, and his mouth runs faster than I think he wants it to. Things that he probably wouldn't say normally, but it's just like, it's like sometimes when me and Justin get going, and we just start rattling off. It's funny shit that like you would say like, oh, fucking James Stewart would never beat Bob Hanna or some dumb shit that, on the tailgate of the truck. But then you say it in a public forum, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's on record for the next 200 years.
Yeah, so, all right. So, Sexton goes 2-2. Couple of tip overs there. Second moto tip over, I 100% agree. He went in, drugged the shifter through that rut on the inside, and hit neutral. He didn't stall it. He hit neutral. You can watch him, like, as he starts to roll on. It's like power, 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 and then it's just like, bleh, and then he falls over. So, which wasn't pushing the front, but it's still like, ah, man.
Okay, so this is a perfect time to mention that I always thought that it was the dumbest thing that in full race bikes that you're able to get into neutral without pushing some kind of lever or something, just like a hot start used to be.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell can I even get into neutral on a Supercross bike? Isn't that the dumbest thing ever?
I don't know.
Give me a little lever, and if I don't touch the lever, then don't fucking give me neutral.
I'll be honest. I'm not a good enough engineer to know how to do that. I assume it could be done very easily.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not an engineer. And then the other thing you got to think, too, is they're like, well, if you crash in the middle of the race or something like that happens to Chase, do you really want him having to think about that, too, as opposed to just, like, normal popping it into neutral? I don't know. It's one of those, like, splitting hair things. Dude, Chase is super good, but, man, he is, like, he just doesn't quite have it. And we're going to get into the TLR tinfoil hat here with some information that was brought forward / this stupid opinion that's happening, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Let me start by saying that I really respect James Stewart, but I don't love how they talk about Chase on the broadcast.
Did you
love it.
Did you watch the Southwick race?
Yeah.
Where James basically told him to tuck the front end just so he didn't feel so bad.
That's such bullshit.
It's dude, I mean, but here's the thing. We all know, in the infamous words of Steve here, that these riders are all fragile butterflies mentally. And like, think about it. How is Chase feeling right now that this 19-year-old kid jumps up to the 450 and he is spanking him?
Yeah, and one of the best of all time that you used to pay to coach you is shit talking you on the fucking live broadcast. That's the craziest thing ever.
Well, did you hear Jet? This was brought up, or this was shown several times yesterday. How about Jet being like, "Oh yeah, at Spring Creek, I knew he was coming, so I slowed up to let him get close to me, so that way when he was there and he attacked, I had more energy."
I didn't hear that,
dude. He said it, and they played it a lot. He literally said, and then it was funny because when they played it on the broadcast, Weege then called out James and was like, "You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, James?"
Chad Reed, I heard that part.
Yeah,
yep.
And Ashley's like, "What's he talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, there was a race that Reed was talking some shit to
Unadilla.
Stu." Yeah, Unadilla. I'm like, and Stu literally I don't remember if he got a bad start or whatever, but he caught him, passed him, and then pulled over and let him by, and then passed him again and told him never to fucking talk about it again.
Unadilla 03. Chad Reed was on the 103.
It was 03 or 02. I thought they said it was 02. I don't remember.
Wrong, but
one of those years, but yeah.
Chad Reed on the 103 Yamaha.
Dude, the best fucking move ever. The best fucking move ever.
And I mean, followed the rest of their career. So you think about what that does to the mental of your opponent. So like what Jet just did there, although not great. What he did was he totally flexed on him and he totally mind fucked him.
I mean the funny thing is like we all talk about like and not just us. This is everyone all the way up the chain of fucking media for this. All talk about he's got more in the tank than what he's using right now against these guys.
He looks like he's cruising, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then we're all like, I don't know, maybe I don't know. And then he makes a comment like that, and you're like, holy shit, he really does have more in the tank. Like, dude, you've raced, I've raced, and even though we both suck, at no point was I slow enough to let the guy behind me who I was pacing catch me to know so that way when he did put a charge in, I was fresh.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that really, just to fuck with people. But I don't suck, but you know,
I've never done that in anything.
No,
not a go-kart, not on a dirt bike, nothing. If I could get away from you, I was going.
I've never done it in like a serious race. I do like you do it all the time with your buddies and
yeah,
like that,
but that's a completely different thing too than like, hey, like this guy really will come up and pass you.
Yeah,
and like that's gonna cost you $100,000. So I don't know, dude. That was
if I'm Jet, I'm watching that. But or that Unadilla 03, maybe it was 02.
Let me ask you this. So me and Justin kind of touched on this before, and maybe it was me and Hopper and Chris on Hopper's show too kind of touched on it, that like Jet is a guy that wants to know he can beat everyone, okay? And he works on that confidence by actually beating them. He hasn't had to race Tomac yet.
Yeah, I think about this a lot, actually.
And it's out there. Dan Truman openly said that, like, at the practice track a few weeks ago, Jet came up to him and was like, "Hey, you think I beat Tomac?" And Dan's like, "No." He's like, I think you would beat him occasionally, but he's like, I don't think you would beat him like you've been cleaning everybody else's clock.
Yeah, he also had more in the tank too, like Tomac.
Yeah, so the real question is like, we all at this point think, I'm 99% sure, Tomac's going to come back ride Supercross next year. Obviously, Jet's going to be there with this huge boost of confidence here. Because let's face it, do you see anybody beating Jet at the SMX rounds either?
So I'm glad you asked me. So there's three things I want to mention right now. First, I'll answer your question. I think that there are a few guys that could be there and scratch at it. Jason Anderson, Cooper Webb, Chase Sexton. Do I think that Jet is going to beat Eli? I don't know. But what I do think is that Jet goes fast going slow.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. He kind of can be so smooth.
Said that yesterday at Washougal. He's like, in practice when he dropped his time, he's like, yeah, I started slowing down to go faster.
I don't know the last time I saw him where I was like, holy shit, he's sprinting right now. Mm-hmm. Although he does go fast. When I see Eli Tomac with like the junkyard dog, I'm gonna go through this corner.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't Jet Lawrence, right? So I would like to see those two parts of their game go head to head.
Yeah.
Just like Cooper Webb is like got that dog in him, right? Cooper Webb's kind of like that too. If he can dust off the rust, and he's
I'll tell you right now, Webb is not anywhere close speed-wise to Jet. Not anywhere close.
He's also going to the Yamaha.
It doesn't matter. He may beat him. Like I saw it this year with the KTM. He's an opportunist. He's Chad Reed against Stu and Ricky.
Yeah.
He's an opportunist. So if it's there, he could win. Yes. And I'm not saying he won't ever win again.
In Supercross.
Yeah. And I'm not saying he won't ever win again. But you get all of them out the same start, and they're having a halfway decent night. He does not have that top end speed.
I don't know that he's that much faster at Supercross than our champion either. Like Chase Sexton, he's also fast as hell.
Have you noticed something else? Something else I noticed too a couple weeks ago. I don't remember where it was. Maybe it was Southwick. So last year we saw Chase battle Eli, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, Chase is so smooth and all this stuff, and Eli's just a bulldog. And now you watch Chase ride against Jet. Complete opposite. You're like, dude, Chase is bulldogging this shit.
Just jittery looking?
And yeah. And like I can't remember. I think it was Southwick. And I'm watching Chase ride. And Chase is just like, looks like Tomac. Like just bulldogging, like, I'm going to plow through this corner. And then you got Jets just like, whoop, let's jump. Oh, look, bumps. Okay, sweet. Oh, whoop, sand, sweet. Here we go. And I'm like, holy shit, what a flip in 12 months of like, oh man, Chase is so smooth. And then now you see him ride against Jet and you're like, he's not smooth at all.
That's interesting you say that about Jet jumping through braking bumps and stuff because I never really saw that in the States, except for James to do it some just because he's going so fast. But where I really saw that was the Canadian Nationals. Colton Fasciotti, Tyler Medaglia, and
T-Dags.
He's awesome. He's such a cool guy.
It's hilarious.
And
87 different styles of handlebars every day to test. It's fine.
Blair Morgan back in the day too, but especially Colton Fasciotti. I would watch them. Good Dusty Klatt too.
Yeah.
They would their tracks get rough as absolute fuck, and they're not like the same shape, but they would like BMX bunny hop the braking bumps and then make rhythms out of them. I had never seen that in my career. That's when I saw it, and I was like, oh, I gotta learn this right now, and it helped me a lot. But Jet does that a lot more than average.
Jet does a lot.
T and the Frenchies do that a lot. Marv's not in it, but he's common to see to do that too.
So you don't think Sexton beats him at all this year?
Outdoors, nah, I don't know. Supercross, yes. I really don't think that he's going to be...
I don't think he'll go... No, there's no way. We've never seen that, and I would highly doubt that we're ever going to see someone do a perfect season in Supercross. There's just too many variables on essentially the start in Supercross. So I don't ever see that happening. But okay. So, all right. So moving on here. So Ando goes 4-4 for third. Okay.
He doesn't seem to have his edge, but let me tell you, he's still a dog. He can go.
Ando doesn't have the speed outdoors. We saw that last year. Like, he got broken last year outdoors with Tomac and Sexton running away from him by 30 to 40 seconds every round. He, like, you could literally see it at the beginning of the year. Like, he's in the press conference because he was, like, the third best dude. And it was like, okay, sweet, okay, sweet, okay, sweet. And then at a certain point, you just saw him kind of be like, I don't fucking have this speed. Like, I thought I had it. I don't. And, like, it's just that way again. Like, he just doesn't have that speed. Now, because the field's depleted, it doesn't look as bad because he's getting third. But, like, you put Dylan Ferrandis on a bike he likes that's set up properly for him, and Dylan's going to beat him all day long, too, every single race. And then you put Tomac out there, and all of a sudden, Ando's just, like, barely a top 5 dude, you know?
Jason's one of those guys where we're just talking about how Jet tiptoes around the track.
Yeah.
He goes so fast. Jason is going as fast as the track can hold him.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what he looks like on that Triumph in a couple years here.
He'll be like later in his career. He'll be like...
Well, yeah, he's 30, so he's going to be like 32 when he gets on that. But I 100% believe he's on Triumph for 1 or 2 years because he'll race Kawasaki's next year. And then in 25, when the Triumph 450 comes out, he will race on that team. So, Dylan goes 3-5 for fourth.
What were you just saying about his bike?
His bike's fucking terrible. He hates that bike. He absolutely hates. I don't know why they can't get that thing set up.
Much over a year.
23 was a new bike.
Yeah.
New frame, new whatever. Like they struggle with it in Supercross too. So yeah, so that's why. And they cannot get it set up for him. You watch it. Justin says all the time, like it looks fucking terrible. And then the way he speaks about it, it's bad. He doesn't have a deal for next year.
Really?
He's out at Star because Star is going to be Cooper Webb, Eli Tomac, and Justin Cooper, and then like everywhere else is full. So I heard he's talking to the HEP guys, but HEP is going to change manufacturers, and I'm not sure to who yet. I've heard rumblings of KTM, but I'm not 100% yet. But that's
Kawasaki.
Kawasaki will be AC and Anderson again, and possibly Faulkner at some point.
On a 450.
Faulkner's contract is written that he has to have an opportunity to ride a Kawasaki 450 before he can be let go.
Cool. That's
which we're really surprised they didn't stick him on a 450 for outdoors this year to just get that gone and get him off that team. So that's super interesting that that's happening too. We're not really sure where that's going. But basically...
Maybe a Brock Tickle Pro Circuit 450.
Yeah, but basically Dylan's been floating around that like, yo, I don't have anything, so I'm just going to retire after this year. And then from what I'm hearing, like the talk of the wives, like the legit in-crowd, wives there with all of them, it's like, no, that's like a real thing. That's not like a joke. Like that's like a real thing of like, if he doesn't get a deal that he finds substantial enough, he's done. Now, the big problem I've heard with him is that he won that title. So you know how it is with contracts. When you win the title, you're automatically bumped up because a lot of the contracts are written like, oh, like say I'm making, $400K this year. If I win this title, next year I automatically get $800.
Base.
Yeah. So his base went skyrocketed there in 21. So now it's a fucking problem for him.
Husky 450s. Just Malcolm?
Craig's on there for next year too.
Oh, yeah.
And they're only going 2.
I like Christian Craig.
So, yeah, but we forget about him because he got hurt, and now he's had complications, so he hasn't been able to come back and ride.
Yeah.
So, AP goes 7-3 for 5th overall.
Pretty good ride.
He was feisty that second moto, got a good start, and ran up front there, so that was okay. I mean, this is just where I see Aaron slotting in, is like just in the top 5 here as far as what's going on right now. We'll see beyond that.
He has more in the tank. I think he has more to give. I just don't think that wasn't his opportunity.
That KTM fucking blows.
Think so?
100%.
I think that he has a tough time on that California dirt.
You didn't watch the show where we talked about the Cooper Webb thing. So the way this has worked here is Cooper Webb came in and this year and basically told him, I don't want to run the Cone Valve Works suspension stuff. And KTM said, fine, no problem. Develop your own suspension, bring it in. So he was running stock suspension stuff with, improved internals and everything. Well, then what happened is, because they've been struggling with that so much, Plessinger came up and said, I want to run that. I want to bring my own stuff too. And all of a sudden KTM went, whoa. We can't do this. So when they said, whoa, we can't do this, they came out, they took Webb's suspension off his bike. And that was the week right before Redbud where Webb was like, fuck you, I'm not going to ride.
Wow.
Then that's why he didn't ride. Had nothing like, okay, maybe he crashed.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's very questionable at this point. I have an inside person that's told me he actually saw him crash. But what I do have an inside person tell me is that they came in and took the suspension that he'd been developing. Because number one, they got to stop the bleeding with that. Otherwise, everybody's going to want to do their own thing. Number two, the cone valve side of things is a huge moneymaker for him. So if you've got your top guys out there not riding cone valves because they fucking suck with this bike, that's it. Game over. And there are multiple privateers I know who are riding the new model KTM that do not like it. I mean, really don't like it. And I'm not going to blow them out here.
Yep.
I will tell you off the air about some things that have happened, but they really don't fucking like it. That new KTM, there's something that's not gelling with it. The Euro guys don't like it either. They're struggling over there too. So anyway, so AP 7-3, I think that's fine. He's got a deal for next year with them, so he's cool.
I think he's a good fit there.
For right now. I heard they made him a pretty good offer to go ride GNCCs.
Really?
Yeah. They don't really want him on the moto side anymore. They want to put him over in the GN. Think about the bravado he carries. He's do it for Dale, fucking mullet, cowboy hat, all that stuff.
I have a hard time seeing the business end of GNCCs because I'm not involved with it, but it seems like it would be a much smaller market.
Have you been to one?
No.
There's 4,000 people a weekend that show up to ride those.
Oh.
4,000.
National though?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because all of them run at the same time. It's just the pro classes take off first.
Brutal.
So you go and pay the same amount you do on a moto weekend, and you ride for 3 fucking hours. That starts in the morning, and you're done by fucking 12. As opposed to like a moto, I got to go pay the same amount. I ride 8 fucking laps, 12 laps, whatever the fuck it is, and I got to be there all damn day to sit around to wait for my motos. So that's what it is. It's like the turnout is incredible there. Like you think a national weekend at Redbud's busy? Go to a GNCC. I haven't personally been to one. I'm just hearing what people are telling me, and I'm like, no
I've been
thank
to
you.
rally races and stuff, but not a GNCC. Rally races are interesting, like the one up in Atlanta, Michigan.
Yeah.
I went to the snow rally one time up there with some other former motocross pros, Jake and Dane Marsack. Anyways, so we went up there, and it's in the middle of winter, and it's just like you go on the side of this fucking dirt road and start a bonfire and watch them fly by sideways. It's super cool.
It seems sketchy to me.
Well, it's just people in the woods everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to Red Bud and you got to stay behind a stupid fence and all that stuff. Like, you can literally just walk on the track and get hit.
Yeah.
People do it all the time, apparently.
Scary.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, AC goes 5-7 for 6th, and he's struggling with the arm. That's all.
He talked about on his Instagram how he's frustrated, but boy, I'm proud of the guy, honestly.
I mean, dude, it's great for a guy that's riding with one fucking arm. I'll be interested to see once we get through the season here, and he goes back and gets another round of stem cells, how that looks.
All I hear is how great stem cell stuff is, but
Well, he had it done, but the problem is that you're supposed to have it. It takes I don't know how many weeks, and he just had it done on like an off weekend, so it didn't really get time to like take. So from what he said on his podcast, once the season's over, he had him take a whole bunch out because of course they shove a needle that's as long as your leg up your ass to take stem cells out of wherever, right?
I didn't really take it out of you.
Yeah. And then so anyway, so he said they've cryogenically frozen extras.
Wow.
And so he'll go back and get a couple of more treatments of it in the off season here before he starts riding for 24.
I'll need to watch his podcast thing he just started because I didn't know about that, but I did know about his ayahuasca experience. A little bit about that.
He hasn't talked about that yet.
I hope I didn't just blow his ass out because
No, everybody
very,
knows
very
it, but he doesn't want to talk about it yet.
Kind of taboo, right?
Yeah. So Marchbanks goes 8-6 for 7th. I'm super interested to see if he makes into these SMX rounds on the 450
Oh yeah,
because he might.
he and Ty look great on the 450s. I got to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. And
they don't have the up front speed.
Yeah.
They have the like right there speed.
Speaking of that, Ty Masterpool goes 6-8 for 8th. They were talking on the broadcast about the training regimen stuff that they do there because his parents are both, world-class snowboarders, skiers. His dad is a trainer for Team USA or something, isn't he? Is that what they said?
Masterpool?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
with skiing or snowboarding or something.
Cool.
And they were talking about how they train at their facility or whatever, but they do it in such a way I don't remember what the term was they used.
That's very
But it was
interesting.
super interesting, yeah. So
It's cool to think about. So even on the way here, I was really thinking about. So like, it's been a long time since I raced anything high end at all, and I was training my absolute ass off back then, 2 days plus practice, and I wasn't anywhere near where these guys are. Well, fast forward to today, I play semi-pro hockey out of Detroit, and I've been doing off-season training to play next season, and the training is totally fucking different. It's not even close.
Yeah.
And it's all a lot of heavy weights and stuff. And I barely even do cardio. I skate a lot, which is cardio, but it's totally different. So you think about the different discipline trainers that the Masterpool family must be enlightened with. If you just come from moto trainers only, we have some real good ones, like our friend Rob Beams here. But to think about how different it must be, because you can do.
I'd be super interested to talk to I'll call him just Mr. Masterpool, Ty's dad there, about what they're actually doing. Because Coach Rob has a bunch of insights too, because he was Olympic triathlete status or whatever there for a while, so he learned a lot of stuff. Like for example, everybody's freaking out because every time they see Dylan Ferrandis on the podium this year, he's drinking a mini Coke.
Yeah, which
right?
is interesting to see, but that's
Coach
that's Rob's
Coach
there.
Rob's thing. Literally, when I took his class, he was like, "Yeah, so you need to drink this because there is literally stuff in it, whatever it is. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it will refuel you between motos there or help with your recovery super well."
It's the cocaine in there, right?
Well, yeah, and it's funny because the way he picked that up was at the USA Olympic training facility, and he went in there and he got done training one day and they were like, "Where's your Coke?" And he laughed because he was like, I haven't had a soda in however many years, and they're like, "You're an idiot."
Yeah.
And it's like these people don't understand that the sugars and stuff in that, as terrible as the rest of it is for you, and trust me, I know I've deep dove into all the different food things that are terrible for you, and that's horrible. It can eat through shit, but the recovery it helps with, because I will drink one every single day after I train moto. Like, I won't drink it on normal training, but like moto day training, I will drink. I put a mini can in the fridge a couple hours before. By the time I'm done, it's cool, and I'm drinking that when I'm done to help me recover, and it works.
Yeah.
So I would be super interested to talk to them about some of the inside scoop stuff they have going on for like training recovery, because they train in Texas. Like the other day they said they were training, it was like 114 degrees.
Yeah, they got a facility there.
Yeah.
What they call it, his
956. Yeah,
which is cool. I remember the whole thing happening with his brother.
Yeah.
That was terrible. But you know what's interesting to say about Coke, because the only time I have Coca-Cola nowadays is when there's something else in there that makes it just about flammable.
Like we are right now.
Yeah, a little bit in there
100%.
right now.
All right. So Phil Nicoletti goes 11-9 for 9th. It's a good day for Phil.
Yeah, good job, Phil.
I mean, it's Phil, man. This is where I expect.
No disrespect. I'm glad that he's keeping going with his career, but I'm kind of just like, okay,
dude. He's 34 years old riding. He's a hero to all of us at this point.
Age.
Yeah, a hero to all of us at this age. So
that's wild.
That's cool. Colt Nichols comes back on the Kawasaki 450 SR.
Cool.
For he goes 10-10 for 10th. I
didn't see him top 10ing. That's
I didn't either. I in fact I was talking to Kev before the weekend. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know, like you can probably beat Nichols, because Nichols hasn't raced outdoors in several years now, and he wasn't really an outdoor guy per se. So I thought that was a really good ride for him. Freddie Noren goes 9-11 for 11th. He's probably not happy. He probably feels like he should be farther up than that, but whatever.
I mean, maybe, but in my eyes, like, Freddie's good. He's not that far.
I don't think he's gelling with that Suzuki super well, to be honest with you. Jose Butron goes 12-13 for 12th. Okay. Chiz goes 17-12 for 13th. That's because Chiz shows up anywhere there's a race any weekend, and we'll race it. Shane shows up for second weekend in a row on his Bone Stock Blue Crew there and goes 15-14 for 14th.
It's okay. I love Shane as a person, but that's an okay finish.
Yeah. Grant Harlan, a little weird finish for him here, 14-15 for 15th. He's been a lot better this year, so maybe it was just Washougal. We'll have to keep track of that going forward. Romain Pope goes 16-18 for 16th. Jed Beaton shows up from Australia on a HRC Honda
Jed Beaton
that he was testing for and completely fucked my fantasy into oblivion the second Moto 2. He goes 13-37 for 17th. Okay. Max Miller goes 19-16 for 18th. Josh Hill comes out of the woodwork here in the Great Northwest to go 26-17 for 19th. And Anton Gohl from Sweden goes 20-19 for 20th. Looks like Carson Brown is the highest finishing two-stroke as far as I know. He goes 18-21 for 21st, so congratulations to him. And let's see here. Kev goes 28-26 on the Red Bull KTM two-stroke.
Shout out
for
to
26.
Number 80 right there. Shout out.
Yep. Kessler goes 30-35 for 33rd overall. And that's it for really honorable mentions there. Anything else you want to talk 450-wise? Were you just on your phone?
Well, here's the thing. So we lost a local Michigan racer a couple days back, Mr. Kyle Rothgood. And
I don't know who that is.
Well, he's a long ways before your time. Just one of them things. In this way of living, a lot of people get hurt. A lot of people pass away, and for whatever reason, I'm 34, and the number of people that I've watched get buried in my lifetime is hard to even believe sometimes.
Is it more or less than the Clintons?
Well, the Clintons don't watch. The Clintons do this. Didn't see nothing, but it's real disheartening how many people we lose. And some of them are real unnecessary, and other ones it's just God's timing or whatever. And I just wanted to give them a shout out because it's hard to watch it all the time. You know what I mean? This week we lost 2 or 3 people, so like, man, it's tough. But shout out.
Cool. All right, so that's been your 450 race recap, brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Always well hung, just like Justin Barcha. Make sure to check them out. Link in the description down below.